Hey guys, close your eyes, picture this. You're 20 years old, you haven't slept in 2 days. Your uniform stinks of sweat, diesel and gunpowder. The air burns your lungs not from smoke, from the heat, from the rot, from the 1,000 silent things no one talks about. And you're standing at the edge of a city that doesn't want you there. It's November 2004, Iraq, Fallujah. The sun hasn't even come up yet, but the darkness already feels crowded. You check your rifle. Again, you've already checked it 6 times. Still loaded, still scratched, still not enough. Somewhere behind you, someone coughs, someone else throws up into the dirt. No one laughs. This is the moment before the storm, the moment before the orders drop. And when they do, you're going in, house to house, room to room, face to face with men who would rather die than surrender and probably will. This isn't a movie. This isn't a drill. This is the Battle of Fallujah. If you want more stories like this, real, unfiltered and raw, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us keep telling them. Now close your eyes. You're not on your couch anymore. You're not watching a video. You're on a street, and the doors are about to open. You're not breathing heavy yet. Not yet. But your heart? It's drumming like it's trying to break out of your chest. Not from running, from knowing. Knowing what's waiting. You're stacked behind a wall with 7 other guys, Marines, 1st Battalion, 8th Regiment. Some are from New York, some from Kansas. One guy, Simmons, hasn't spoken since briefing, might be praying, might be somewhere else entirely. You're in the city limits now. Fallujah. The name tastes like rust when you say it. Not because it's cursed, because it knows you're here. The sun hasn't even cut the horizon yet, but everything's lit, not with light, but tension. You can feel it in your jaw. The way your helmet presses just a little too tight. The way your finger rests next to the trigger, not on it. The way the guy next to you mutters under his breath. This place breathes. He's not wrong. You can hear it too. The city isn't silent. It's holding its breath. Every window is a possibility. Every rooftop is a maybe. Every shadow is a trap. You've done urban ops before. House clearing, CQB, all of it. But this is different. This place was emptied days ago, civilians pushed out or buried beneath rubble. Now, all that's left is fighters. Dug in. Hiding in closets, under floorboards, behind mattresses soaked with diesel and hate. You check your mag, 30 rounds. You'll burn through them faster than a bad thought. You've got 6 more in your vest, that's it. Next to you, Harris, not the same Harris from Normandy, but he might as well be nudges you with his elbow. You feel that, he says. You nod even though you don't know what he means. He says, this city's not right. And he's right. Fallujah doesn't look like a war zone, not yet. It looks like a town waiting to explode. The buildings are low, the roads narrow, the air thick. There's dust in everything. Your eyes. Your ears. Your throat. It's not the soft drifting kind. It's the kind that coats your teeth and makes every breath taste like old bones and bad decisions. You move. 1 step. 2. The patrol takes shape slow, methodical. Fire teams leapfrogging through alleys, crossing courtyards in a crouch, scanning every doorway like it owes you money. The first door you kick in, nothing. Just a mattress, some garbage, a bucket full of flies. The second door, same. The third, boom. Not a shot, not an explosion. A scream. A man unarmed, ragged. Probably 50 bursts from the hallway, shouting in Arabic. You don't understand the words, but you understand the rage, the grief, the terror. He's tackled, zip-tied, moved outside. You exhale, your rifle's still up. Your hands still shake. You're reminded of the rule. Don't trust the quiet ones, because it's never the screaming ones that shoot. And just like that crack, first shot of the day, sniper, you don't see the flash, just the sound, just the impact. 3 buildings down, rooftop, second floor behind a sheet. Santiago Kid from El Paso goes down before he even hears it. You hit the dirt, yelling, return fire, suppression, muzzle flashes erupt like fireflies on meth. You scan, aim, fire, pull back. Dust kicks up in waves, windows shatter, glass rains down like shrapnel, and through it all the sound. Not loud, not screaming, just whispers. Not from the squad, not from the enemy, from the walls, the wind, the city itself. Fallujah talks to you in clicks and echoes and things you almost hear. It says, keep coming. It says, you don't belong. It says, we've been waiting. You press against a doorway, heart hammering, finger on the trigger, eyes stinging from sweat and sand. A call goes out. Need to breach this next building. You're up. You grab the charge, check your 6. 3, 2, 1. Boom. The door splinters. You rush in. It's dark inside, smells like sweat and rot and chemicals you can't name. Staircase to the right, closed door ahead. No one's talking, no one's thinking. You move. Clear left. Clear right. Harris takes point up the stairs. You cover. And that's when you see it. A wire, thin, across the hallway, almost invisible. If you hadn't glanced, you'd be paced right now. You freeze. Point. Backtrack. They call in EOD. You wait. Not because you want to, because you have to. Outside, the sun finally rises. Not warmly, not kindly. It pours over broken windows, shattered doors and walls laced with holes the size of oranges. It glints off shell casings, shattered glass, a blood smear on a tile floor. You look at it and realise the day just started. This was only the first street. You've got 12 more blocks, maybe more, maybe less. You take a knee, refill your mag, wipe your eyes. Someone hands you a water bottle. You drink. It tastes like plastic and heat, but it's wet, and that's enough. Harris looks at you. Still think we're going to be home by Christmas? You don't answer, because he already knows, and because Fallujah is whispering again. You just wish you didn't understand what it's saying. You're not walking anymore. You're gliding between buildings. Not fast, not smooth, just cautious, careful, coiled. Because in Fallujah the streets don't kill you, the buildings do. You've cleared 5 houses this morning. 4 were empty. The 5th had 3 fighters. 1 was hiding behind a refrigerator. He waited until you passed him, shot Mason in the back, twice. Mason lived, for 20 minutes. Then he bled out on a kitchen floor covered in dust, shell casings and cereal. You don't cry, you don't even blink. You just wipe your boots and keep going. Because this city, it's built to kill you. Everything is stone and angles and line of sight. The streets curve, dip, funnel you. You realise it's not a city anymore. It's a mousetrap, and you're the bait. You take a corner and crouch behind a burnt-out car. The smell hits you first. Sweet, sick, like meat left in the sun. You don't check the trunk. You already know. Sergeant Brayley waves you forward. 2 fingers, low sweep, eyes up. Standard stuff. But you're not thinking standard anymore. You're thinking, that door's closed, the curtain moved, that roof wasn't cracked 20 minutes ago. You enter another house. Same routine. Stack up, breathe, breach, clear. Room 1, nothing. Room 2 collapsed ceiling. Room 3 a body. Not recent, not ancient. Somewhere in between. Wearing a vest, not tactical, explosive. He was waiting. Probably missed his moment. Maybe you got lucky. Maybe you just weren't the target he wanted. You back out, slow. The walls are full of bullet holes, not yours, not yet. You check the staircase. Winding, dark, tight. You hate stairs now. You go up anyway. Harris is behind you. You feel his breath. He's not calm. No one is. At the top, a hallway, 3 doors, 1 open, 2 closed. The open one, just a mattress, some rope, a small black and white photo of a boy holding a soccer ball. You don't look at it too long. You've learned not to. You open the next door. Bathroom. Mirror cracked. Sink broken. Soap dish full of spent shell casings. You look down, tile patterns off. One square's been lifted, replaced, glued. You kneel. Tap it. Hollow. You call it in. It's another trap. Under the tile. Wires, batteries, pressure plate. Set to go off under weight. Someone's kid's bathroom and it's wired to kill. You stare at it too long. Then you leave. 3rd room door locked. Brayley goes to kick it. You stop him. He looks at you, annoyed. Then he sees the tripwire. Fishing line, tied to the door frame, runs through a crack in the wall. He steps back. You exhale. Everything here's trying to kill us, Harris says. He's not exaggerating. He's not even upset. He's just tired. You move to the rooftop. Clear. For now. You take a second. Look out over the city. It stretches far, wide, dense like a map of broken promises. Every building looks the same. Tan, cracked, angry. Smoke curls from 3 blocks west. Gunfire to the east. A chopper hovers in the distance, firing at something you can't see. You squat behind the ledge, check your mag. Down to 10 rounds, swap it out. You hear a pop, then a scream. Down the alley. Someone's down. Not your squad. Doesn't matter. You move down. Fast. Controlled. Breathing shallow. In the street. A Humvee. Disabled. 2 wheels shredded. Driver slumped. Blood pooling under the door. A Marine is pinned behind it. Shot in the leg. Bleeding. Panicking. You lay suppressive fire. Harris covers you. You drag the guy behind a wall. He grabs your wrist. Eyes wild. IED, he says, in the wall. You look. Bricks are mismatched. Mortar fresh. Not even dry. You call it in. They confirm it. Detonate it from a distance. Half the building collapses. Welcome to Fallujah, someone mutters. No one laughs. You check your ammo again. Running low. You move back into the alley. The walls press close. Claustrophobic. Like the buildings want to fold in and eat you. Every crack is a barrel. Every dark window a scope. You aim at shadows more than you aim at people. You don't even care if you hit anything, war. You just want the shadows to know you're watching. You're clearing another home now. You kick in a door, someone's kitchen. Food still on the table, bread hardened, tea long gone cold. A radio crackles on the counter. Still playing something, a song, faint, in Arabic. Beautiful. You hesitate. Then the floor gives. Not a bomb, a pit. You fall. Hard. Land in concrete and black. Basement. You cough. Taste dust and blood. Your ankles screaming. Rifles gone. Lights out. You flick your flashlight. It works. Barely. You're in a tunnel. Narrow, crude, hand-dug, recent. Someone's been moving through here. Maybe fighters. Maybe kids. maybe both. You limp forward, gun raised, breathing sharp. You see markings on the wall, numbers, names, tally marks. Then you find the crawl space. Too tight to walk. Just big enough to hide or ambush. You don't go in. You radio for evac. Wait. 10 minutes later, Harris pulls you out. He's pale. His voice is shaking. 2 more houses like that, he says. One had a kid wired to the door. You nod. You don't speak. You don't need to, because you already know the truth. This city is made of traps. The kind with wires. The kind with sniper nests. And the kind that wait until you get just comfortable before they explode. You sit on the curb. Brayley hands you a smoke. You don't even smoke. You light it anyway. And as the city smoulders and cracks and groans, you realise you're not clearing buildings. You're digging through death's junk drawer. And every drawer has teeth. There's no rhythm to the movement anymore. No flow. No strategy. Just instinct. Just luck. Just muscle memory carrying your body through a city that doesn't want you alive. You're moving down a narrow alley, cracked pavement, puddles of something that's probably water, trash scattered like confetti at a funeral. You step over a broken tricycle, a torn shoe, a doll's head staring up with one eye. You don't look too long. Looking gets you killed. Your squad's moving slow. Too slow. Harris is muttering behind you, counting his steps, out loud, like it's a spell. You get it. Everyone's got their thing. Yours is your left boot. You trust it more than your right. You step with it first. Always. Because in Fallujah, every step is a gamble. And eventually, everyone loses. You take a left into an open courtyard, bricks sun-bleached, walls riddled with old bullet holes. There's a staircase leading up, a window covered by a tarp and a dead cat in the corner. Not recent, not old either. You pause. Scan. Breathe. Too quiet. No dogs barking, no kids crying, no prayer calls. Just heat. And dread. And the sound of boots on broken tile. The squad fans out. Standard sweep. You take the stairs. First step, fine. Second, creaks. Third, click. You freeze. Pressure plate. Your breath stops. Your thoughts stop. Everything stops. You don't scream. You don't cry. You just go still. Harris sees you. His face goes blank, then tight. He crouches low, pulls his pack off, starts rummaging. Wire, clamp, tiny set of shears. I got you, he says. You nod. Not because you believe him, but because you want to. He gets close. Too close. You feel his sweat on your arm. He leans in, eyes locked on the plate under your boot. Don't move, he says. Wasn't planning on it, you whisper. He snips, clamps, holds his breath. And then he says, lift. You do. And nothing happens. No explosion. No shrapnel. No headlines. You just live. This time. You collapse onto the stairs, breathing like you ran a mile with a lung full of knives. He pats your helmet. New rule, he says. You don't lead anymore. You smile, but it doesn't reach your eyes. Because that was step 3. And you've got 1,000 more before this city lets you leave. Back in formation, you push down another corridor, shattered concrete, rusted gates, chunks of rebar sticking out like broken ribs. Brayley steps over a curb, just a standard slab of sidewalk, and then he's gone. A flash, a crack, dust, screams. You're on the ground, ears ringing, eyes stinging. You crawl to the crater. It's not a crater anymore. It's a grave. Half of Brayley's helmet is lodged in a wall. The rest of him isn't recognisable. You puke. Not because of the gore, because it was that fast. He was just there, laughing, joking, complaining about chow. Now he's a stain. You regroup. No one speaks. There's nothing to say. The next block is tighter, closer. Every window feels like it's watching. You check your map not for directions, for IED hot zones. You mark one, then another. Then you realise the whole block's covered. Under dirt, under rugs, under piles of children's clothing roam. You wonder how many steps you've already taken today, how many chances you've burned, and how many you have left. You pass a door. It's half open, a flicker of movement inside. You raise your rifle. A boy, 10, maybe 11, barefoot, holding a screwdriver, just standing there. You freeze. Harris freezes. The boy stares at you. You stare back. Then he turns and runs. You don't chase. You can't. Because 2 seconds later, a boom rocks the street behind you. Not from a bomb, from a fuel drum, wired to a car you passed 10 minutes ago. You were seconds from dying. Again, you sit down against a wall, not tactically, not smart, just because you need to sit, because your legs are shaking and your hands are numb. Your radio crackles. New objective. Move north to Market Street. Intel says insurgents regrouped near the mosque. Of course they did. Because that part of town, that's where all the traps are. You reload. Stand. Wipe the sweat off your face with a sleeve already soaked in someone else's blood. And you keep moving. Step by step. Every one of them might be your last. Every one of them might get someone else killed. And none of them feel like progress. You stop thinking of the ground as ground. It's a minefield with a resume. It's taken legs. Taken friends. It wants more. And you? You're just hoping it doesn't want you yet. You pass a chalk mark on the wall, blue X. Means someone already cleared it. Yesterday. You still go slow, because yesterday's clear is today's deadly. You step inside. First floor's quiet. Second floor's a trap. The whole floor collapses. Not from an explosion, just weight. You and 2 others drop through rotten wood into a kitchen full of debris and shattered glass. Harris lands hard, screams, his ankles twisted, maybe broken. You grab him, drag him to cover. Outside, gunfire erupts. The delay, that was part of it. The house was bait. The fall was noise. Now the fighters know where you are. You crawl to the back wall. Poke your rifle out through a hole in the plaster. Return fire. Blind. Angry. Desperate. And through it all your brain whispers, every step is a coin flip. Heads, you live. Tails, you don't. And Fallujah, it's the house. And the house always wins. You used to hate alleys. Now you hate rooftops more, because alleys are traps. But rooftops, they're predators. You're moving in tight formation, bounding from cover to cover, hugging crumbled walls and shattered cars. You've got eyes on every door, every window, every shadow that might breathe. But you can't see above you. Not well. And that's the problem. Rooftops don't just hide snipers. They hide silence. They hide patience. They hide men who've been waiting for you since before you even got here. It starts with a whistle. Not a bird. Not a warning, just wind brushing a scope barrel. Then a shot. High-pitched. Flat. Surgical. The guy ahead of you drops. No scream. No stumble. Just down. The round entered just beneath the helmet rim. That half-inch gap between brain and armour. You hit the ground. Scramble behind a blown-out engine block. "Rooftop!" someone yells. 2 o'clock! Harris yells back. Where? Doesn't matter, he already moved. That's the game now. They shoot. They reposition. By the time you respond, they're 3 houses away, glass crunching under boots you'll never hear. You scan the roofs. Some are flat. Some slope with old tiles and rebar like broken fingers. Most have satellite dishes. One has a child's bike parked on the edge, just sitting there, sun-bleached, untouched. You don't trust it. You don't trust anything. You move. Not in formation now. More like scattered instinct. A hopscotch of desperation. Cover, peek, sprint, repeat. Every time your foot hits the ground, you expect the sky to crack open. Every time your back faces up, you feel the weight of a crosshair brushing your spine. You enter a building for cover. 3rd floor, stairs missing chunks, dust falling from the ceiling like the house is coughing. It's a good vantage point, which means it's a death sentence. You set up Overwatch at the window, scope up, scan. Across the street movement, a figure on a rooftop, white robe, AK, bed. Not a sniper, but not a civilian. He sees you, doesn't run, raises the rifle. You fire. 3 shots. He drops. But now, they know where you are. You hear yelling in the street. Arabic, fast, urgent. Then something worse. The creak of a ladder. They're coming up. You turn. Aim at the stairwell. A grenade bounces 2 steps up. Small, black. Hey guys, close your eyes. Picture this. You're 20 years old. You haven't slept in 2 days. Your uniform stinks of sweat, diesel and gunpowder. The air burns your lungs, not from improvised. You duck, shout. Grenade. The blast is small, enough to knock out windows and eardrums. Your vision goes white. Your ears ring. Your hands fumble. But you're alive. Barely. You crawl to the side. Check Harris. He's up, limping, rifle shaking in his grip. They're trying to flush us out, he says. No kidding. You exfil down the back, through a narrow shaft where the ceiling sags like it's tired of standing. You jump from the 2nd story into a garbage pile that breaks your fall and bruises your ribs. Outside now, but no safer, because the rooftops, they're watching again. You move building to building, no pattern, no plan, just staying out of sight from above. At one corner you hear another shot, then a second, then silence. That's how you know it was a sniper. If it were a firefight, there'd be chaos. This was execution. You find the body, Private Leland, face down, head gone. Not shot through the head, just gone. They're using bigger rifles now. Maybe a 14.5 mm, maybe armor piercing. Doesn't matter. Your helmet? Might as well be cardboard. You move Leland's body behind a wall. Not to save it. To stop the others from seeing it. Morale matters. Even here. Even now. You duck into a courtyard. Water dripping from a busted pipe. A shattered swing set. A line of laundry fluttering all shirts. No pants. Someone still living here. Somewhere. That's what gets you. It's a war zone. But it's still someone's home. And the rooftops. They're part of it. They're as local as the market. As permanent as prayer. You keep moving. Harris points out a tower-tallest building in this sector. Likely a sniper nest. You call it in. Air support confirms. Too close to civilian infrastructure, they say. No strike. Of course. So, you go in. Stairs again. 4 flights. Everyone creaking like it's about to collapse. You reach the top. Open the door to the roof. Nothing. Just heat, dust. A tripod stand. Still warm, you miss them by seconds. You curse. Punch the door frame. Regret it instantly, your knuckles bleed. Back down. Faster this time. And as you descend, you hear the shot. Another Marine. Down the street. Dead. Same shooter. Maybe. Doesn't matter. You realise something cruel. You're not in control here. Not of the streets. Not of the rooftops. Not of the sky. You're just a shape moving through someone else's kill box. And up there, on the roofs, they're not afraid of you. They're waiting. There's something about the call to prayer that stops you cold. Not because it's loud, not because it's foreign, because it's beautiful. And hearing beauty out here, it feels like mockery. You're crouched near the remains of what used to be a bakery. Flour bags exploded into white puffs that now look like smoke ghosts across the street. You haven't eaten in hours. Doesn't matter. Your stomach forgot how to want things. The voice rings out from a minaret 2 blocks down. A haunting, rising echo. Long vowels, slow rhythm. It doesn't scare you. It doesn't calm you. It just exists, the only thing out here that still sounds like it believes in something. You wish you still did. The sergeant marks a building on the map. The mosque. Not the grand kind with gold domes. Just a local one. Old, cracked. Echoes inside. Your orders? Clear it. You tighten your grip on your rifle, even though you know that won't protect you from what's coming. Because places of worship out here? They're sacred. Until they aren't. You move. Slow, quiet. Your boots crunch over broken tile. You hate that sound now, too loud, too final. Like you're stepping on ribs. The door is heavy. Carved. Open just enough to let air out, but not light in. You push it gently. It creaks like a coffin. Inside, silence. Not empty silence. Waiting silence. The kind that knows your name and hasn't decided whether to say it yet. The mosque smells like dust and oil and something older than the war. You feel it in your chest, that quiet pressure like you just entered someone else's memory. The mihrab faces Mecca. The prayer rugs are blood-streaked. There's a backpack near the front. No one touches it. The others spread out, clearing corners, whispering. Even the boots fall quieter on this floor, like the war doesn't want to offend the architecture. Harris points up. Stairwell, spiral, leads to the minaret. You're on point. You hate stairwells, but you go. Each step is a decision. Each footfall could be the last thing you do. Halfway up, there's a smell. Not new, not rotting either, just wrong. You raise your rifle, check the angles. No wires, no motion. At the top, a body, propped in the window. Sniper rifle laid across his lap, eyes still open. But he's long gone. You stare at him. He looks young, 18 maybe, beard still patchy. Hands burned from the heat of his weapon. He died doing what you're doing now. Watching. The scope is still warm. He was up here for hours, maybe days. Firing, hiding, eating dates from a tin. Waiting for movement. Calling it in. You check the view. From here, you can see the whole block. Every alley, every window, every Marine. You were never hidden. Not really. You were on stage. The only reason you're alive. He bled out before he could take the next shot. You say nothing. Harris climbs up behind you, sees the body, sees the view. Ghost in the tower, he mutters. You nod. Because he's not the first. And he won't be the last. Back downstairs, something new. A trapdoor under the rug. You pry it open. Stairs lead downward. Basement? Storage? You follow. It's dark. You light a beam. And what you find isn't weapons, isn't fighters. It's people. 3 of them. 2 women, 1 child. Hiding in silence so deep it makes your ears ring. They stare at you like you're a monster. And maybe you are. You call it in. Command says evac is too risky. They'll stay. You leave food, water, a canteen, a whisper of apology that doesn't matter. Outside, the call to prayer is ending. You feel it in your bones. Something ancient. Something that doesn't care who wins. Something bigger than bullets and briefings. You rejoin the squad. The sergeant nods. Minarets clear? You nod back. Yeah, it's clear. But not clean. Because you saw the face. The setup. The people below. And you felt something you weren't supposed to feel. Guilt. Because this isn't just war. It's desecration. Of stone. Of silence. Of stories that don't get told. The minarets will be rebuilt. The call to prayer will return. But the ghosts? They don't leave. They just wait. You know the sound. Before you even see it. Before the dust. Before the impact. Do you know what a 500-pound bomb shouldn't sound like when it lands in the wrong place? It starts with the roar of a jet. Fast. High. Distant. Then a hiss. A whistle. A shudder in the air like the sky is holding its breath. Then boom. Not ahead. Not behind. Right here. You're blown off your feet. Thrown into a wall you weren't looking at. Your ears scream. Your lungs seize. Your thoughts scatter. Then come the screams. Not enemy screams. Not theirs. Yours. American. Marine. You crawl. Your legs feel numb. Your hands shake. You think you're bleeding from your nose, your ears, maybe your soul. Hard to tell. Someone's shouting your name. Harris. He's dragging you by the vest. His mouth is moving, but all you hear is a long, sharp ringing, like a fire alarm that learned to speak Arabic. You get behind a wall. The dust is thick, yellow-brown, choking. Then you see them. Your squad. Scattered. Some moving, some not. Brayley's boot. Just the boot. The rest of him is somewhere. Miller's face is burned. Half of it. The other half is still screaming. You feel the heat before you realise your sleeves are on fire. You pat it out with your bare hands. Skin blisters instantly. You don't even feel it, not yet. The radio's going crazy. Blue on blue, blue on blue. Abort, abort, abort. Friendly grid. Repeat. Friendly grid. Static. More screaming. Command thought the compound was hostile. Thought your squad was insurgents. Thought wrong. It happens. They say that a lot out here. It happens. Like it's weather. You crawl to the medic. He's covered in soot and blood and prayers. He's patching up a guy whose chest is barely there anymore. You see the morphine needle bend in his hand. He can't push hard enough. You grab a water bottle. Empty, of course. You throw it. Why? Because it's something. A chopper roars overhead. Too late. Like always. The dust hasn't even settled and the birds are already circling. Extraction? Maybe. More bombs? Wouldn't surprise you. You sit against the wall, blinking hard, eyes burning, throat raw. Your mouth tastes like ash and regret. Across the street, a building still on fire, and inside it was the comms unit. Gone now. Just wires and static. Your squad's cut off. And it wasn't even the enemy that did it. It was you. Your side. Your flag. Your people. And somehow that hurts worse than any IED. Because insurgents trying to kill you, that's expected. A mistake from a pilot who never saw your face, that breaks something. Something deep. Harris is pacing. He's cursing everyone from the Air Force to God to the GPS satellite system. And you're just watching your hand shake. Thinking how close it was. Thinking how thin the line is between target and friendly. Thinking how your own country just tried to erase you. A lieutenant shows up. New guy. Fresh boots. Clean face. He doesn't even flinch when he sees the wreckage. Bad intel, he mutters. We're moving out in 10. That's it. No apology. No explanation. No pause. Because there's no time for grief in the schedule. So you move. Because orders don't change just because the flag on the bomb matched the one on your sleeve. You help carry what's left of Reyes. His dog tags are melted into his vest. You don't say anything. You don't cry. You just walk through smoke that smells like your own dead. Later, back at the staging point, someone from command stops by. He says, "Hell of a day." You want to hit him, but you don't. You just nod, because hell doesn't even begin to cover it. You lie down in the dirt, next to what used to be a playground. You stare up at a sky that's full of drones and fire and mistakes. And for a moment, you imagine a version of today where the bomb hit the right target, where the order was right, where nobody screamed your name like it was a eulogy. But that's not this version. This version, you lived. But barely. And it wasn't the enemy that almost killed you. It was a guy flying a jet looking at a map and seeing a blip he thought was wrong. You were the blip. And now you're not even angry. You're just tired. Because out here, it's not who shoots you that matters. It's whether anyone notices they did. You're in a Humvee. Strapped in, window down, rifle across your lap. It's moving slow, too slow, like it knows the road's trying to kill you. You're not walking today. You thought that meant you'd be safer. You were wrong. On foot you trust your eyes. On wheels you trust fate. And Fallujah doesn't believe in fate. Only detonation. You're rolling down Route Henry or what's left of it. Potholes, rubble, twisted rebar sticking out like broken ribs. 2 blocks back they found an IED under a dead dog. It went off when they moved the body. That's the trick now. Everything's a trigger. Every trash bag, every pile of bricks, every smile. You pass a burned out bus. Blackened, gutted. Windows shattered like glass teeth. Your driver, Kowalski, is whispering to the steering wheel. You don't ask what. Maybe it's a prayer. Maybe it's a threat. The air smells like rotten diesel. Your seat's vibrating from the armor plates underneath. Your vest digs into your collarbone like a judge reminding you this isn't over. You scan the roadside, again and again. There's a kid on the roof of a shop, maybe 12 years old, watching, not waving. You can't see his hands. You wonder if he's holding a phone or a trigger. Or maybe he's just a kid, stuck between bomb craters and bad luck. That's the poison of this war. Everything feels like bait. And the bait looks like your little brother. The vehicle ahead of you, second in the convoy, suddenly stops. Hard. You almost rear-end them. The sergeant comes over the radio. Possible pressure plate under the next intersection. You freeze. EOD's already busy. Too many threats, not enough techs. So you wait. 5 minutes, 10. The sun gets hotter. Your skin itches. Sweat pools in your gloves, your boots, your eyes. Then a voice crackles. Nothing conclusive. Proceed with caution. You move. Cautiously. Like the pavement might explode from disrespect. And then it happens. Boom! Not under you. One vehicle back. A flash. A roar. A pressure wave that rattles your teeth. Your headset goes dead. Your vision blinks out for a second. When it comes back, screaming, you open the door, stumble into smoke and fire and blood. The Humvee is upside down. Roof peeled back like a sardine can. One tire's still spinning. One door's in the middle of the street. You see bodies. One's crawling. One's not moving. One isn't whole. You grab a fire extinguisher, too late. The flames are already chewing through what's left of the back seat. Harris is there, pulling someone out. You help. The guy's missing part of his face. He's still breathing. And that's the worst part. You get him out. Onto the sidewalk. He tries to speak. Blood fills his throat. You hold his hand. Because that's all you can do. Kowalski shouts, "We passed that spot 15 times this week." Yeah, that's the illusion. The trap. They don't bury bombs everywhere. They bury them where you feel safe, where you start to believe the routine. And then they wait. The bomb was inside a cinder block, wired to a garage door opener, triggered by someone inside a building, maybe even watching you right now. But you can't shoot a window for being suspicious. You can't shoot air, so you load back up. -2 guys. One's dead. The other's dying. And you've got 3 more blocks to go. You move out. Slower now. Every bump is a potential obituary. Every shadow is an ambush. Every thought is screaming. Why didn't it hit us? You reach the destination, a blown-out municipal building now serving as staging ground. A joke. You unstrap. Step out. Boots on cracked tile. There's blood on your hands. Yours? Theirs? You don't know. You wipe it on your pants. No one notices. Inside, you sit. Just for a minute. Your body's vibrating from adrenaline, caffeine, and the ghost of the explosion you just survived. You take a breath. And in the silence, your brain whispers, next time it's your axle, your seat, your ribcage blown through the windshield. You close your eyes, try not to picture it, but it's already there. Because you saw it. Because you heard it. Because some part of you expects it. You're not afraid of dying. Not anymore. You're afraid of when. Because in Fallujah you don't fight a person. You fight possibility. And possibility doesn't blink. It waits. It listens. And when you finally exhale, it blows you apart. There's a door in front of you. Wood. Old. Painted green once, now just chipped and dusty. The kind of door you've walked through 1,000 times before. And you're staring at it like it's a loaded gun. Because out here, it is. You're on point again. Of course. You volunteered last week. Or maybe someone else did. You can't remember anymore, days blur, and so do choices. What you do remember is what's behind doors like this. Last time, it was a closet with a teenager behind it. AK in hand, nerves on fire. He fired first. You fired back. You still see his eyes in the dark when you try to sleep. The time before that, a woman holding a baby in one hand and a detonator in the other. She didn't push it. She just could have. And that's the worst part. You check the frame. Hinges look warped. No wire, no trip lines. No signs of tampering. Which doesn't mean anything. Harris leans in behind you. Kick it or knock. You stare. Knocking feels polite, stupid. Kicking feels decisive, deadly. Both feel wrong. You choose neither. You nudge it open with the barrel of your rifle. Slow, measured, 1 inch at a time. Inside, nothing. Just a room. Sunlight slashing across dust. A fan hanging from the ceiling, unmoving. There's a bed, a few blankets. A bucket in the corner. Someone lives here. Or lived. You enter, step by step. Each one heavier than the last. You clear the corners. Shout clear back to the squad. But you don't feel clear. Not even close. You move to the next door. Same deal. Same tension. Same silence. This one's different metal. Heavier. It rattles in the frame like it wants to scream. You reach for the handle. Stop. You remember last week? The handle was wired to a battery pack. Touch it, and the whole entryway turned into a funeral. You gesture for the mirror, a busted shaving mirror tied to a stick with tape and hope. You ease it past the edge. The reflection shows a chair, a blanket, and something underneath. Could be laundry, could be death. You breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and you step in. One foot, then the other. The room is hot, still, like breath held too long. You lift the blanket. It's a cat. Dead, days old. Its eyes are gone. Its ribs pressed through fur like knives trying to escape. No IED, no ambush, just rot. You back out. Room's clear. Again, you lie. Because the room might be empty, but you aren't. You're full of nerves, of tension, of the endless calculus of what's behind the next door. You reach the third one. It's ajar. You hate a jar. Because open doors out here aren't invitations. They're traps. You don't touch it. You just breathe. Peek. Inside, more furniture. Sofas. A table. A radio still playing static. There's a half-eaten meal on the floor. Still warm. Someone was just here. You freeze. Hand tight on your rifle. Then, a sound floorboard. Back of the room. You motion. Harris flanks. Another Marine swings around left. 3 seconds later, a shout. Then a body hits the ground. Alive. Tied. Gagged. Not a fighter. A boy. Maybe 15. Hands bound behind his back with electrical wire. Face bruised. Eyes wide. You pull the gag. He's too scared to speak. You radio it in. Command says he might be a decoy. Might be a scout. Might be bait. So you cuff him again. And you move on. Because there are 6 more doors in this building. And every single one has a decision behind it. You take the next one fast. Kick. Enter. Clear. Boom. Not an explosion, a flashbang from your own guy, tossed too close. Your vision pops white. Your ears go hollow. When they come back, all you hear is yelling. But the room? Clear again. You sit in the corner for a second. Just one. Catch your breath. Count to 4. That's all you allow. Because there's another door. Always another door. You move again. By noon you've cleared 19 of them. Some led to empty rooms. Some led to corpses. One led to a stairwell with tripwires you barely saw. By the end of the day the number of doors doesn't matter. Only that you're still standing. Barely. Your arms ache. Your eyes burn. Your helmet's crooked. You don't care. Because Fallujah taught you something today. A door is a question. And every time you open one, the city answers back. Sometimes with silence. Sometimes with bullets. Sometimes with a name you'll remember screaming for the rest of your life. And tomorrow, there'll be more doors, more rooms, more seconds that stretch forever. You don't fear what's behind them anymore. You just fear the one that finally answers back with your name. It doesn't feel like a city anymore. Not really. It feels like a puzzle made of ash and sorrow. Twisting alleys. Corridors made of concrete. Blind corners that multiply when you blink. Fallujah isn't a battlefield. It's a maze. And you're the rat. You're on foot again. Boots scraping sand over tile. Moving through narrow alleys where two people can't walk side by side without rubbing shoulders. Your squad is spread out. 10 meters between each man. Close enough to cover. Far enough to not die together. Every intersection is a risk. Every wall feels like it's breathing. It's not paranoia. It's practice. You clear a street that dead ends into a collapsed mosque wall. So you backtrack. Cut through a courtyard with rusted bikes and plastic chairs and blood in the dirt. You go around another bend only to find yourself exactly where you started. You've been here before. You know because there's a boot print in the dust, yours. Half erased. Still screaming. Harris calls it out. We're looping. You nod. Not because he's right, you don't need confirmation. You feel it. The maze is closing. The GPS is dead. The radios are static. The sun is overhead but feels sideways. You're lost, and you're not alone. Voices echo through the corridors Arabic, fast, tight, bouncing off stone like angry bees. They're tracking us, someone mutters. No response. 'Cause yeah, they are. They know these streets. They designed this chaos. You move to a three-way junction. Left. Too quiet. Right. Smells like cordite. Straight. Open sky and too much light. You pick left. Because sometimes the worst option is the one that looks safest. You pass a house with the door blown off. Inside bodies. Not yours, not theirs, just people. Neutralised by nothing but being in the wrong place when the airstrike hit. They looked like they were sleeping. They weren't. You keep moving. Harris is ahead, marking the walls with chalk. Arrows. Dots. A language built in panic. You pass a room where someone had been cooking. Rice still on the stove. A tea glass shattered on the floor. A dog's corpse in the corner neck broken, one eye open. You move faster. Your rifle's shaking in your hands. Or maybe it's just your hands. You're not sure anymore. You take another turn and hear at the ping of metal. Grenade. You dive. Harris dives. Someone doesn't. The blast rips through the hallway. A scream cuts off mid-sentence. You push up, deaf, dust-covered, coughing blood. The man behind you, Gaza, has gone from the waist down. You drag him anyway. Because sometimes the maze doesn't care what you've lost, only that you keep moving. You hole up in a small shack with blown-out windows and a door hanging like a broken jaw. You count heads. 5. Should be 8. No one speaks. Not because it's tragic. Because it's normal. You've stopped asking names. Stopped counting goodbyes. Because here, you're just pieces trying to make it out of something built to break you. You eat your ration bar like it's poison. Wash it down with water that tastes like rubber and dirt. You reload in silence. Check your grenades. Your med kit. Your breathing. You exit. The maze stretches in every direction. Each turn a maybe. Each block a negotiation with fate. You push forward. Another alley, another blind wall, another gunshot close. You don't react fast enough. Harris drops. Shoulder hit. Clean through. You pull him back. Tourniquet. Gauze. He grits his teeth and mutters, "They know we're stuck." Yeah, they know. Because this isn't your neighbourhood. It's theirs. And they built it to trap men like you. Your sergeant calls over the radio. "Reroute east. Watch the red wall." You turn east. The red wall appears 20 minutes later, not paint. Blood. Smeared handprints, drag marks, flies. You don't look at it too long. Looking too long is how the maze wins. You pass another pile of bricks. Someone painted something on them in white. Ijlis el-Kay. You don't read Arabic, but you know what it means. This is not yours. You keep moving. Another rooftop opens up, you take it. Eyes on the maze. You see it now, the shape of it. Not random, deliberate. You're not stuck by accident. You were led here, funneled. And somewhere in this network of alleys and turns and traps, someone is waiting, watching, setting the next tripwire. You think about rats, about mazes, about experiments. You wonder if this war was one big test, to see how much confusion a man can survive. Then you hear the shot, sharp, clean, final. And you remember, this maze doesn't end in cheese. It ends in silence. You hear it before you feel it. Crack. A sharp, dry punctuation. Not a warning, not a chance. Just finality. A round slices the air inches from your head. Misses. Barely. You drop, face in the dirt. Mouthful of dust. Heart climbing your throat like it's trying to escape. You've been lucky. Until now, because snipers in Fallujah, they don't miss twice. Harris is already down, pressing himself against a stone wall like he's trying to disappear into it. Your sergeant's yelling positions too late. You've already moved, instinct, reflex, muscle. You crawl, elbows, knees, like a child, like an animal, like a man trying not to die. Another shot closer. Hits the curb, shrapnel kicks into your face. Stings. You don't stop. You dive behind a rusted car. Harris follows, breathing hard. You peek under the chassis. 2 blocks east. 3rd floor. Curtain moving just wrong. He's there. You know it. He knows you know it. And that's the worst part. You're in his scope right now. He's watching. Waiting. Snipers are patient. More patient than you. More patient than war. He's not panicking. He's hunting. And right now, you're prey. You duck. No shot. He's waiting for a better one. You call it in. Coordinates, distance, elevation. HQ confirms no assets available. Too many firefights. Not enough drones. It's you or nothing. You look at Harris. He nods. He knows what's coming. One of you has to move. Draw fire. Expose the nest. Give the other a chance to kill the ghost in the window. You volunteer. Because he did it last time. You count to 3. You don't breathe. Then you move. Not fast. Not straight. Zigzag, unpredictable, controlled chaos. 10 feet, 15. You hear it. Crack. The round hits the ground where you were. He adjusted. Late. That's your window. Harris fires 3 rounds, one after the other. Then silence. You hit the wall, back against concrete. Pulse a war drum in your ears. Got him, Harris says. You don't believe it. Not until you see the body. You flank the building. Move fast. Step over debris, swing through broken door frames, climb stairs still slick with someone else's blood. At the top, the sniper. Dead. Hole through the temple. His rifle old Russian bolt action, clean, cared for like a holy relic. Ammo lined up in a tin lid. A photo tucked under his vest. Wife. Child. Smiling. He was someone. You lower your rifle. Back away. You don't speak. Because how do you say what this feels like? Not victory. Not relief. Just pause. Like the trigger reset the world for a second and now everything's off by a half-second beat. Outside, the street is still. Too still. You feel it before you hear it. Another shot. Distant. Another sniper. Of course! You duck. Harris drops. You scan rooftops, it's like searching for ghosts in smoke. Then it hits you. They work in pairs. He wasn't alone. He was spotting, and you just killed the wrong one first. The next 30 seconds are chaos. Rounds slamming the street. Wall chips flying like razors. One hits your helmet, cracks the shell, not your skull, you crawl again. You don't even feel human anymore. You feel targeted. This isn't war. This is precision homicide. Your squad regroups behind a blown-out corner store. Harris's bleeding shoulder. Not bad, not good. You call again. Still no air support. You're on your own. So, you play their game. You set decoys' helmets on rebar, shadows behind glass. You bait them. The sniper takes a shot. You see the muzzle flash this time. 4th floor, window frame. Same building as before, opposite side. You don't hesitate. You fire. Controlled bursts. 2, 3, 4. Then nothing. You wait. Harris circles the back, slow, creeps up, rifle raised. 2 minutes pass, then clear. You exhale, sit down, helmet in your lap. Your hands are shaking, because you won, but you didn't feel it, because there's always another. And next time, he won't miss once. You're underground now. By accident. Collapse floor, shattered support beam. 1 minute you were on the 2nd story, next minute gone. You landed hard, something cracked. Might have been the floor, might have been your ribs. There's dust in your mouth, blood on your lips. You don't remember biting down, but your teeth are full of grit. You blink. Dark, then darker. Your flashlight's dead. Your radio? Static. The others haven't reached you yet. You're alone, and you're not supposed to be. You move. Crawl through broken concrete, rebar like spider legs overhead. You whisper your own name under your breath, just to feel something human in the silence. Then a sound. Not boots, not voices, scratching. Low, fast, familiar. Rats. Big ones. One scurries across your boot. You flinch, hard. Hit your elbow on a pipe. The clang echoes like gunfire. You freeze, because rats only come when the dead are close. And judging by the swarm, something nearby is very dead. You crawl toward a faint shaft of light, moonbeam through a crack in the ceiling. It casts everything in silver and shadow, and there they are. 3 bodies, piled, bloated, 1 in camo, 2 in robes. Can't tell if the Marine is yours. Can't check the dog tags. His chest is gone. The rest of him is staring at the ceiling like he still hasn't processed what happened. You pull your scarf tighter. The air smells like rot, cordite and copper. Your hands are shaking again. You press them against the wall to steady yourself, and the wall crumbles. Behind it, more space. And, in that space, a chair, a table, wires. It's an insurgent hideout. Or was. Looks like it's been abandoned. Or maybe they're just watching from somewhere else now, smiling at the trap they left you in. You check your radio again. Alpha, this is Ghost. Copy. Nothing. Just the soft purr of interference. You keep crawling. The tunnel narrows, then widens. Leads to what looks like a service shaft, barely wide enough for your gear. You take it anyway. Every inch is a gamble. Every breath tastes like plaster. Then, up ahead, a voice. Not English. You stop. Heart hammering. You click the safety off. Raise your rifle. You peek around the corner. 2 insurgents. Talking, smoking. their rifles leaning against the wall like this is just another day at the office. They haven't seen you. Not yet. You think, I could leave. You think, I should. Then you think, if I let them go, they'll kill someone else tomorrow. You move fast. One shot. Centre mass. Second shot. Lower spine. They both drop. You don't check if they're dead. You don't need to. You move past them, quick and low like a shadow with purpose. 50 minutes later you find a crawl space. Yet, basement you recognise. You've been here, cleared it yesterday. That's how small the city is now. You're looping through memories like deja vu dressed in blood. You climb the stairs, push through a broken door. Daylight blinds you. The war greets you. Where the hell have you been? Harris yells, pulling you behind a truck. You collapse beside him. Laugh. Just once. Just air. Found a new route, you say. Next time, leave a map. You nod. You should be dead, but you're not. Again. You look down. Your hands are covered in blood that isn't yours. Your knees are scraped raw. Your comms are shot. And in your pack, a dead rat. You don't remember when it got there. Maybe it crawled in. Maybe it died on the way out. Maybe it's just a souvenir from a place no one should have survived. You toss it. Watch it land in a puddle that used to be a street. Someone on Overwatch says, "Movement north, 2 shooters rooftop." You reload. Stand. Your ribs hurt. You don't complain. Because above ground or below it, in tunnels or rooftops, one truth stays constant. This city doesn't want you to leave whole. It wants to shave pieces off you, until nothing's left but instinct, tremors and silence. And broken radios. You thought daytime would help. That light meant safety. That if you could just make it through the night, things would be easier. You were wrong. Because in Fallujah, light doesn't save you. It exposes you. And now the sun is your enemy. It bleaches the streets white and hot. Paints long shadows where people used to stand. Turns every surface into a spotlight. And you're centre stage. You're moving down phase line Henry. Midday. No cloud cover. No cover at all, really. Just rubble. Heat. And eyes. It's a main road wide enough for 2 trucks, now filled with half-collapsed shops, blackened cars and the bones of the yesterday's ambush. The mission? Clear to the roundabout, hold perimeter, wait for supply drop. It sounds simple. Everything does until you're doing it. Sweat pours down your spine. Your vest feels like a furnace wrapped in guilt. Your helmet's cutting into your scalp. You haven't eaten since before sunrise. You haven't cared since the first IED this morning. Your rifle feels heavier. Your boots, louder. Your heartbeat, slower not calm, just resigned. Because daylight doesn't mean you see them. It means they see you. You move slow. Every window is a question. Every rooftop is a threat. There's a body in the street. You can tell it's been there a while. Sun bloated. Flies dancing in circles. Uniforms scorched. Skin leathered. You don't look at the face. Faces lie. They make you feel things you can't afford to feel. A shout front of the column. Santiago yells, "Motion, 2nd floor, blue building." Everyone drops. The world narrows. You scan, scope up. There are curtain flutters. Then nothing. Hold fire, command says. Could be civilian. Could be a shooter. Could be both. You move again. Past a burned out taxi. Past a cracked water barrel buzzing with wasps. Past a sign that once said bakery. Now just bullet holes and dust. Then you hear at the whistle. Mortar. You run before you even think. The round hits a block behind you. Dust slams your back. Your knees buckle. You keep moving. 2nd round closer. Someone screams, not from pain, from fear. You dive into a collapsed doorway, coughing, gagging, spitting grit. Harris lands beside you. "Third round's coming," he says. It does. Right on top of Brayley's squad. You hear it, but you feel it more. Your ribcage shudders like a drumhead. You taste blood. You smell meat. You crawl out when it's over. The street is a crater. 3 men missing, 1 still moving, half on fire. You help put him out. He doesn't thank you. He just moans like the earth is apologizing. Daylight lets you see this. That's the curse. At night it's shadows, guesswork, blurred terror. But in the sun, it's truth. You see the blood on your boots. You see the child's toy next to the sniper's rifle. You see the burned book that used to be someone's prayer guide. And you see your reflection in a broken mirror face hollow, eyes cracked, not sure who's looking back. Command says move up. You do, because daylight doesn't wait. You reach the roundabout, hold position, secure all corners. The heat is unbearable. Your skin's red. Your water's warm. You don't care. Santiago pulls out a granola bar. He stares at it, then puts it away. "No point," he mutters. And he's right. What does food matter when your mouth tastes like ash and gunpowder? What does hydration matter when your soul's already dust? The supply truck arrives, 4 hours late. They toss crates, ammo, water, med packs. No letters, no mail, no signs of life outside this hell. You sit on the curb. Behind you, the building still burns. Ahead, the road curves towards more alleys, more traps, more waiting. A reporter embedded with another unit walks past. He's clean, camera out, wants a quote. You tell him nothing. He doesn't understand. Because words don't survive here. Only silence does. And in the silence, the sun burns on. He doesn't care who's right, who's left, who's bleeding. He just watches, unblinking, unforgiving. And in Fallujah, daylight isn't safety. It's clarity. And clarity is hell. There's a point where the city starts whispering. You don't notice it at first. You think it's the wind, or the radio, or maybe your own breath bouncing back at you through your helmet. But it's not. It's Fallujah, talking. Not with voices, with memories. You're moving through a residential block, houses stacked like broken teeth, front doors hanging off hinges, living rooms wide open, as if someone had carved the privacy out with a scalpel. Each home tells a story. Not in pictures or furniture, those are gone. But in the echoes. You step inside one. It smells like burnt plastic and salt. There's a kid's shoe in the doorway. Crayon marks on the wall, a rocket ship maybe. A stick figure holding hands with another. The figure's been shot through with a bullet. You move into the next room. Old radio, dead batteries. A teacup, unbroken, sitting in a perfect ring of dust. Whoever left it, left fast. You call out clear, but you don't feel clear. Because the walls, they remember. There are holes in them, not just from bullets, from fists, from time, from people who stood right where you're standing, hoping their house would be spared. It wasn't. You press your hand against the wall. It's warm. Not from the sun, from the fire next door. Still smouldering from the last drone strike. You think, this used to be someone's safe place. Now it's tactical cover. The squad fans out. Harris finds a photo, a woman and 2 boys all smiling. He doesn't say anything, just hands it to you. You nod, fold it, and slip it into your vest. You don't know why. You just do. You move into another home. The walls here are worse. Covered in writing, no. Charcoal, blood, maybe both. Arabic. You ask the translator. He squints. Reads. Don't follow the Americans, don't open the door. God forgive us. You stare at the message. Then realise there's more. A name. A date. 3 days ago. You were on this block 3 days ago. You probably passed this door. You probably shouted through it. You probably didn't wait for an answer. Your chest tightens. You check the upstairs. Empty. Sort of. There's a mattress. Stained. Sunken in the middle. And under it bones. Small. You stop breathing. You walk back outside, but it follows you. The walls. The writing. The idea that even in silence this city is telling you everything if you just knew how to listen. You step into another house. There's a song playing from Toy in the corner. Battery's almost dead. The melody warped and slow. You raise your rifle. The team tenses. No one there. Just the toy. Repeating its broken lullaby. You shoot it. Silence. And still, the silence speaks louder than the sound. Fallujah isn't empty. It's haunted. Not by ghosts. By what used to be. By families. By faith. By rage. Every wall you lean against used to hold laughter. Now it holds your weight and the soot of your boots. There's a mark on one wall. Bloody handprint. Child-sized. Below it, more writing. You don't need a translator. You already know what it says. Because the walls are done whispering. They're screaming now. They're telling you, you don't belong here. You weren't invited. You're not going to leave clean. And deep down, you agree. Because when you walk through someone else's hell and call it liberation, the walls don't forgive you. They wait. They absorb. They remember. And they make sure you do too. They don't call them people. They call them casualties, non-combatants, collateral. A word that sounds clean, like paperwork. Like a spreadsheet cell you can delete without consequence. But you've seen the reality. And it doesn't bleed in numbers. It bleeds in colour. It bleeds in screams. It bleeds in silence that doesn't go away. You're clearing a compound. Mid-block. 2-story. Intel says it's a weapons cache. Maybe a meeting point for insurgents. Could be. Could also be nothing. You kick the door. Flash in. Boots on tile. Command shouted in English, echoed in fear in Arabic. No gunfire. No resistance. Just a woman holding a toddler. 3 more kids in the corner. A man on his knees, hands up, eyes wide. No weapons. No vests. No threat. The translator starts barking orders. The woman is crying. The man's shaking his head, over and over like he can rewind time if he just disagrees enough. Then someone finds the AK. In the closet. Under a pile of rags. Unloaded. Dusty. Does it change anything? Yes. Everything. Now the family's not innocent. Now the house is suspicious. Now every photo on the wall looks like propaganda. Every child's drawing looks like a map. Every breath sounds like deception. And you hate yourself for thinking that. But you think it anyway. You zip tie the man. Separate him from the family. The girl the oldest. Maybe 10 watches the whole thing. Eyes dry. Jaw locked. She doesn't scream. She doesn't blink. She just memorises your face. And you wonder if one day she'll tell someone about you. Describe you. Maybe even draw you. And maybe that someone will come find you in another city on another day. And make you pay. You finish the sweep. Radio command. They tell you to hold. 10 minutes later, a drone strike hits the building next door. Wrong address. The shockwave flattens the compound's east wall. The woman's eardrums rupture. One of the kids gets a piece of glass buried in his cheek. You patch him up with gauze. Your hands are shaking. You don't know if it's from adrenaline or guilt. Maybe both. The translator tells the man, "Sorry for the confusion." He just nods. Still kneeling. Still zip-tied. The girl still hasn't looked away. You get the all clear. Time to move. You leave them there. No answers. No justice. Just rubble. You step back into the street. The sun's setting. Your shadow looks longer than it should. Back at staging, a corporal writes up the report. He doesn't use words like mother or child. He writes, "Building compromised. Civilian presence. No threat identified. 1 wounded. Treated on site." You sign it, because that's what you're told to do. And what else can you write? I saw a family crumble under the weight of my presence. I let a child bleed in the dirt while I cleared her home like it was a crime scene. I don't know who the enemy is anymore, and I'm starting to think maybe it's me. That won't fit in the report. So you use the word everyone uses. Collateral. Because it's easier than saying people. Because it's cleaner than guilt. Because it lets you sleep a little longer before the dreams start again. But later, when the lights are off and the city stops pretending to sleep, you see that girl's eyes. And you know she didn't just watch. She remembered. They call it a convoy. You call it what it is. A funeral that hasn't been acknowledged yet. 3 Humvees. 1 mounted .50 cal. All headed north, single file, moving like ghosts through a city that already buried them. There's no ceremony, no music. Just diesel engines, sand and silence. You're in the second vehicle, middle of the stack. The spot no one wants but everyone takes because someone has to. You're carrying bodies, your own. Corporal Dela Cruz, Specialist Tanner, Staff Sergeant O'Reilly, 1 in each Humvee, each wrapped in ponchos, each still warm, still bleeding. There's no space in the trucks for coffins, no time for formality. You place them where the ammo used to be. Strap them down next to the rucksacks. Try not to look at the hands. But you do look. Of course you do. You recognise the scars, the calluses, the little details that made them human, not uniforms, not statistics. De La Cruz had a pinky finger that never bent right. Tanner bit his nails until they bled. O'Reilly wore his wedding ring on a chain around his neck. You remember these things now, because no one else will. You move down Route Michigan like you're afraid to disturb the air. Every bump feels like disrespect. Every pothole an insult. You pass a mosque. Someone's watching from the minaret, too far to shoot. Too close to ignore. You wonder if they know what you're carrying. The driver says nothing. He's focused, knuckles white. Eyes locked on the back of the first Humvee like it's the last lifeline in a dream. You want to say something. A joke, a story, a word. But you can't. Because the weight behind you is louder than your voice. It screams every time the wheels jolt. You think about De La Cruz's last sentence. He said, "I think I saw something move." Then the sniper cracked his head open. You didn't even have time to reply. You think about Tanner laughing yesterday over a melted protein bar. He said it tasted like chocolate that lost hope. He never finished it. You think about O'Reilly on the sat phone the night before, telling his wife, "Almost done here, just a few more blocks." A few more blocks. That's all. Now you're counting blocks in reverse, bringing his body back through the same war zone he walked through alive. A roundabout, a collapsed overpass, a bus full of bullet holes, markers in a reverse pilgrimage. Fallujah watches you pass, not with guns, with memory. You feel it. Every corner knows what's in the back of your truck. The convoy pulls into FOB Volturno. No salute, no applause. Just open gates and silence. The rear doors drop. Stretcher teams move in. You stand back, helmet off, hands at your sides like you don't know where to put your guilt. The medics take over, call out tags, mark sheets, zip up what used to be stories. And just like that, Dela Cruz, Tanner, O'Reilly, gone. Not forgotten, but filed. You sit on the edge of the truck bed, sweating, bleeding, breathing. You feel smaller, lighter, like a part of you rode in next to them. Maybe it did. Your sergeant pats your shoulder. Good work today. You nod. But what you want to say is, there's no good work in a procession like this. There's just survival. And sometimes that's the ugliest job of all. The convoy reassembles. Another mission. Another building to clear. Another chance to join the next ride back. You reload. You repack. You step forward. And you wonder when it's your turn. Will someone remember your hands? You've seen this building before. You know you have. Same busted door. Same crumpled couch by the wall. Same bullet holes clustered like a constellation in the far corner. Even remember the smell. Curry and sweat and old fire. You cleared it yesterday. You cleared it again this morning. Now you're clearing it again. Third time. You don't argue. Because Fallujah doesn't care about your memory. It only believes in what it sees now. And right now, it sees a threat. So you line up. Stack at the door. Rifles up. Hearts numb. Numb. You enter the same room where you found the stash of dirty magazines behind the stove on day 1. Where you found a blindfold under the mattress on day 2. Where you found nothing today. That's almost worse. Because now the house is empty and that feels like bait. You move upstairs. Again. You already know where the stair creaks. Where the floor dips. Where the light filters in just wrong, like it's hiding something. You cleared it. So why are you back? Because this isn't just a house anymore. It's a loop. A trap in the shape of repetition. You move like a shadow of yourself. Harris on your left. Santiago in back. You kick the bathroom door. Empty. Just like yesterday. Except now there's a mirror on the floor. Cracked. Not there before. You freeze. Because something changed. And that means everything's dangerous again. You clear the corner. You check the ceiling. You tap the tile with your boot, listening for wires, for lies. Still nothing. But your pulse is rising. Because when you have to clear the same building 3 times, you stop trusting silence. You move to the rooftop. That's where the sniper was 2 days ago. He's not there now. But the burn mark from his muzzle is still on the ledge. A reminder. A warning. You take position anyway, because orders don't care about déjà vu. You scan. Scope up. Rooftops, streets, shadows. Harris mutters, "We already did this." You nod. That's the horror. You already did this. And here you are again, sweating through your gear, breathing through cracked lips, scanning the same kill zone from the same spot where your friend bled out. Because maybe the intel's wrong. Maybe the brass forgot they sent you here. Maybe they just want to be sure. And what does sure cost? An afternoon. Some calories. Maybe a life. Downstairs, Santiago radios in. All clear. again. But no one relaxes, because you cleared it yesterday, and they moved in overnight. And now, you'll clear it again tomorrow, because that's how Fallujah works. It recycles war like it recycles rubble. The enemy doesn't hold ground. They haunt it. They slip in through the cracks. Plant IEDs in drywall. Watch you from windows you've already stared through. It's not about control. It's about confusion, making you question what's real, what's safe, what's already done. Your squad moves out, back into the sun, back to the next street, back to the next maybe. You glance over your shoulder. The house stares back. Same cracked window, same rusted gate, same ghost behind the curtains. You feel it in your chest. You'll be back. Not because you want to be, because war doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in circles. And this building, it's not just bricks and paint. It's a memory loop. And you're stuck inside it. There's a system. That's what they tell you. A process. A procedure. A way to turn chaos into order. A way to make death manageable. You've followed it a dozen times now. Maybe more. You just stop counting. You find the body. You check the pulse you already know isn't there. You radio it in. KIA 1 confirmed. Then you strip the pockets. Not for souvenirs. For intel. Dog tags. Notebook. A letter folded into a wallet. Sometimes a wedding ring. You don't read the letter. Not then. You tuck it into a Ziploc. Label it. Pass it on. The boots come off next. Not to disrespect. To send home. Cleaned, boxed. Delivered to a family who wants anything that touched their son. You remember the first time. How your hands trembled trying to unlace the boots of someone who was breathing next to you 10 minutes earlier. Now, your fingers move on autopilot. Boots, helmet, vest. Then the hard part, the carry. Because even if the world has ended, gravity still works. And bodies don't get lighter just because they're gone. You lift together. One on the shoulders, one at the legs. Dead weight. Heavy in a way that isn't just physical, you walk them back. Through heat. Through silence. Through alleys that no longer register as dangerous. Because at that moment you're not scared of dying. You're scared of dropping him. You reach the truck. Slide the stretcher in. You cover his face. You think about not doing it. But you always do. Because it feels wrong not to. Even if he's just going 2 blocks back to the fob. Even if no one else will see him. You saw him. And that means something. Back at base, you help with the inventory. 1 tag on the toe. 1 tag on the wrist. 1 bag with everything that made him a person, now filed under logistics. Later, someone with clean hands and clean clothes will come collect him. A clipboard. A van. Maybe a salute if they remember. That's later. For now, you sit down. You wash your hands in water that smells like bleach. You stare at your boots. You try to remember his laugh. You don't cry. Not because you don't want to. Because you can't. Your body's in a state beyond tears. Somewhere colder. More mechanical. A place where grief is just one more task to delay. That night you write in your journal. 4 lines. We lost Marquez today. Found him by the rubble near Market Street. Carried him back. He was light. He wasn't. You were lying to yourself. Because truth weighs too much out here. You look at the photo in your helmet liner. Your brother, smiling. 2 years younger than Marquez. You flip it over, blank. You wonder if someday someone else will carry you like this. Strip your gear, bag your name, Tell a supply clerk you were light. You wonder what they'll write, if they'll write anything at all. You lie back, stare at the sky, not for comfort, not for hope, just for distance. Because when you spend all day touching the dead, the stars are the only thing that don't feel fragile. You know it before it lands. That sound, not quite a whistle, not quite a roar, more like a scream held in the throat of the sky. It starts high distant, then it drops, fast, heavy, like the weight of a decision you didn't get to make, then impact. Not where you are, close enough. You feel it in your teeth, in your ribs, in your soul, if you still believe in that sort of thing. You duck. Not because it'll help, because it's instinct. That sound rewired your brain somewhere between week 1 and week whatever this is. You don't measure time in days anymore. You measure it in explosions. The ground shakes again. Another mortar. Same song, second verse. You scramble for the wall. Dive into cover next to Harris and Santiago. They don't look at you. They're too busy listening. Because the space between mortars is the real danger. That's when the questions creep in. How close was that one? Are they walking it in? What if the next one has your name on it? Another scream from above, another thud. Dust rains from the ceiling. Chunks of plaster bounce off your helmet. 5 rounds, someone says. You count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still waiting. The 5th never comes. And somehow that's worse. Because the rhythm's broken. The pattern's gone. Now you can't predict the next hit. You step outside. The street is half missing. A crater where the pharmacy used to be. Smoke. Fire. Papers fluttering like ghosts. You see a shoe. Just one. The foot inside is still twitching. You look away. Santiago's on the radio. Grid 7B, multiple impacts, confirmed civvies down, possible second wave, over. HQ says to hold. They always say that. Because you can't outrun the sky. Another shriek. This one lands in the lot across the street. A truck goes up in flame. You see the fireball before you feel the heat. A shockwave kicks you backward. You hit the wall, hard, ears ringing, vision spinning. Someone screaming. Not from pain, from memory. You sit up, bleeding from the nose. You don't remember falling. Santiago yells, "We need air support." HQ replies negative, all assets deployed. Of course. You crawl to cover, not for safety, just so they don't have to carry your body out in pieces, because that's what mortars do. They don't aim, they just erase. Whoever you were, soldier, child, fighter, bystander, you're all the same under a blanket of shrapnel. And the sound they make? It's not random, it's deliberate. It knows what it's doing. You huddle in a stairwell. Harris is praying. Not loudly, just lips moving. You stare at the wall. There's a crack running down the paint. And for some reason, you wonder how long it took to form. Was it slow? Was it sudden? Was it waiting for you? That's the thing with mortars. They don't just kill. They break everything. The ground, the sky, the moment. And once they land, you're never whole again. Just a body walking. A helmet filled with ghosts. The barrage stops after 17 minutes. Long enough to forget who you were before it started. Long enough to question if you're still you after it ends. You stand. Dust off. Breathe. You survived. You always do. Until you don't. And when that day comes, you'll hear it. That sound. Falling from heaven. Rising from hell. And you'll know. This one's yours. You don't forget the colour. That's the first thing you notice. Not the smell. Not the sound, not the silence. The colour. Blue. Faded. Peeling around the edges like sunburnt paint. But still there, vibrant against the beige of death. It's the only colour you've seen all week that isn't blood, dust or burnt sky. The intel says this is the place. 4 suspects. Insurgent checkpoint. Possible weapons cache. But what you see is a house with curtains drawn and a door too proud for the neighbourhood it's dying in. You stack up like always. Santiago on point. Harris watching rear. You third. Heartbeat steady. Breath slow. Door painted like the ocean you forgot how to dream about. You knock once. Protocol. No response. You wait 5 seconds. You kick. It doesn't open. It explodes. Not a bomb. Just noise. The moment the boot hits the wood, the entire city seems to breathe in. And hold it. Then comes the chaos. Shouting. Movement inside. Gunfire not yours. First round hits Santiago in the chest plate. He drops. Not dead, just winded. You pour in. Room 1 man with a pistol. You shoot. Twice. He falls into the stove. His weapon clatters into a bowl of rice. Room 2 empty, except for the television playing static and a Quran covered in dust. Room 3 movement. You pivot. Woman, unarmed. Screaming. You hold your fire. Barely. She's clutching a child. The kid's maybe 4, wearing Spider-Man pyjamas. You say, "Get down." She doesn't speak English. She just holds tighter. You lower your rifle. And that's when the man in the closet shoots. Misses you. Hits the woman. You fire back. Rage more than aim. 2 shots. Centre mass. The child is screaming. You freeze. Harris rushes in. Pulls the kid away, checks the closet, yells clear, but it doesn't feel clear. Not in your chest, not in the room, not anywhere. You check the man. He's dead, wearing a vest. Not explosive, just stuffed with nails, wires, glass. His face looks peaceful, like someone who thought he did something holy. You don't speak. You just stand, looking at the blue door. From the inside now, it's still intact. Scratched but whole. Like it didn't just let hell walk through it. You move to the next room. Crates. A laptop. A makeshift rig, maybe IED triggers, maybe nothing. Photos on the wall. Maps of US patrol routes. Your route. You were expected. Outside, the neighbourhood watches. Curtains shift. Eyes linger. You hear a dog barking somewhere. Then silence again. Santiago sits on the curb. Helmet off. Sweating. Mouth open like he's trying to taste air that doesn't stink of regret. The medic wraps the kid in a blanket. He's not bleeding. Not physically. You wonder if he'll ever stop screaming. Command says, "Good hit. Possible HVT. Upload evidence." You nod. You take pictures. Of the vest. Of the maps. Of the blood on the child's pyjamas. None of it will make it home. None of it will fit in the boxes they use for official reports. You stare at the door again. How dare it be so blue? How dare it survive? You remember a beach from back home. The water looked just like that colour. You were 13. Throwing rocks. Sun on your neck. You almost smile. Then the wind shifts. The door slams shut. Loud. Final. You don't flinch. You just reload. Because out here, the only thing more dangerous than a house full of enemies is one that looks like a home. It starts with a rumour. Someone heard it from someone who heard it from a corpse with half a mouth. Insurgents using the sewers to hide, to move, to ambush. At first you laugh, because it sounds like a myth, like something the boots get told to scare them, like urban legend turned urban warfare. But then command sends you below, and it's not a joke anymore. You stand at the grate, rusty, bent, like the city's mouth has been forced shut and now you're prying it open. The air hits first, wet, rot, burnt oil, feces, blood. You gag. Harris does too. Santiago just spits. You climb down. One step, then another, until daylight disappears and the only light left is the one you brought with you. The sewers are narrow, cramped, knee-deep in filth. You move slow, boots sloshing through 1,000 sins, rifle above the waterline. You sweep your light across the walls, names etched into concrete, dates, symbols, some Arabic, some English. You find one in spray paint. We live below death. You believe it, because it feels like hell forgot its basement. You keep moving. No gunfire. No voices. Just the sound of dripping water and boots that don't want to be here. Then a clang. Metal on metal. Close. You freeze. Harris raises his fist. Signals. You scan right. A shadow moves. Fast. Too fast for the space. You shout, "Halt!" No answer. You swing your light. Nothing. Just ripples. And then you hear it under the surface. Splash, gurgle, movement. They're here. You wade forward. Fast. Every step a guess. You round a corner and there they are. 3 of them. Drenched, dirty, armed. They fire first. Muzzle flashes paint the tunnel orange. Bullets slam the water, slap the walls. One grazes your arm hot and sharp. You return fire. Controlled, tight. One goes down. The other runs. The third teenager drops his weapon, holds up his hands. You yell in Arabic. Down, hands up, and he listens. You zip tie him, drag him out of the water. He's crying, muttering something about food and Allah and please. You don't hear it. Not really. All you hear is the water. Still moving. Still hiding. You check the body you dropped. Backpack full of wires. Remote trigger. Map of your fob perimeter. So, yeah, they were coming. From below. Because Fallujah doesn't fight fair. It fights clever. They use gravity against you. Make you chase them into tunnels where your guns barely fit and your breath goes sour and the world above feels like a memory. You take a breath. Just one. It tastes like mould and metal. Then you move again. Because the sewer system is massive. Twisting. Winding. A whole city beneath the city. And they're in it. Waiting. Planning. Living like rats with theology. You find a side chamber. Mattresses. Ammo. A kettle still warm. Someone was just here. You kick it over. More water. More waste. You check your watch. 20 minutes underground. Feels like 20 years. You're starting to see things. A face in the ripples. Your brother's voice in the pipes. Your name echoed back to you in tones that don't belong to this world. You keep walking. You don't look behind you. Not because you're brave. Because you can't afford to. Your boot hits something soft. A body. Child-sized. Wrapped in a trash bag. No ID. No answers. Just another question mark in a city full of unfinished sentences. Harris says, "We're pulling out." You don't argue. You're half mad from the stench and half lost in your own thoughts. You climb the ladder. Back into daylight. You vomit the second your feet hit pavement. The prisoner's still crying. You wipe your mouth. You say nothing. Because what would you say? We hunted people in filth today? We found a graveyard under the streets? I think part of me stayed down there. They won't write songs about this part. There's no glory in sewage, just survival, and the memory of water that hides the worst things the sun could never touch. The saying comes back to you in pieces. You don't hear the bullet that gets you. You've heard it 100 times now. From veterans, from instructors, from that one guy in your unit who says it like a joke, like he already knows how he's going out. But now it doesn't sound clever. Now it sounds like a sentence, because you've stopped hearing them altogether. You're halfway through a patrol in the northwest quadrant of the city. Rubble, heat, tension. The air tastes like static. Like a storm that doesn't come, like something's about to break. And the silence isn't silent, it's loaded. No kids, no chatter, no distant calls to prayer. Nothing but wind and the buzz of your nerves. You feel it. So does everyone else. Harris is twitchy. Santiago keeps checking his 6. Even the LT stopped talking 3 blocks ago. That's how you know it's bad. You move down a narrow street. Buildings so close you could touch both sides if you stretched your arms. Rooftops loom. Balconies stare. Windows squint like they're judging you. You pass an abandoned truck. Its windows are intact, which is strange. Everything else on this street is cracked, broken, burnt. But that windshield? Perfect. You take 2 more steps, then freeze. You don't know why. Your body just stops, and a second later the guy behind you drops. No noise, no warning, he just folds, like a puppet whose strings were cut. His name was Moreno. You don't even remember if he had kids. You hit the deck. Yell. Sniper. Everything explodes into chaos. Santiago's behind cover. Harris is dragging Moreno's body still warm, still bleeding behind a trash bin. You're breathing too hard. You're trying to think. Trying to do that math angle, distance, elevation. But the only number that matters is 1. 1 shot, 1 second. 1 inch to the left and it would have been you. You scan the rooftops. Nothing. Just sky and silence and too much sun. No muzzle flash. No movement. No target. You feel like you're in a game you don't understand. The sniper doesn't want to fight. He wants a message. He picked Moreno not because he was exposed, but because he wasn't. Because he was talking. Because he let his guard drop. Because war isn't about mistakes. It's about moments. And the bullet only needs 1. The medic gets to Moreno, checks the pulse, shakes his head. Done. Just like that. You never even heard the shot. You sit behind cover, back pressed against a broken wall, rifle across your knees, sweat pooling behind your eyes. You feel your heartbeat in your teeth. You whisper the phrase again. You don't hear the bullet that gets you. It should comfort you. It doesn't. It terrifies you. Because it means there's no warning. No flare of pain. No final thought. No chance to say anything. Just lights out. And the scariest part? You might already be dead. You might just not know it yet. The LT calls for smoke. You launch it. 2 plumes, 1 east, 1 northwest. The alley fills with mist. Pink and grey. Now the rooftops are blind too. But so are you. And the sniper. He doesn't need to see much. Just a shoulder. A sliver of helmet. A breath at the wrong time. You move. Low. Fast. From cover to cover. Your whole body aches from the tension. You realise you haven't blinked in a minute. You find a shadow. Stay low. Watch the windows, still no sign. You're not sure what's worse, the bullet you don't hear or the one you know is coming. You think about all the things you haven't said. To your mother. Your brother. That girl who wrote you letters and stopped after your second deployment. You think about the promises you made. I'll be careful. I'll keep my head down. I'll come back. You think about how hollow those promises sound right now, sitting in a city that wants to kill you for walking. And then crack. Another shot. Farther this time. You hear the echo. Feel the vibrations in your spine. Someone yells, "Contact left." You pop up. Fire twice. Suppressive only. No target. You duck back down. Now everyone is firing. Not at something, at the idea of something. Rounds slam into concrete. Rattle off metal. One skips right across your boot. Still you don't see him. Whoever he is, wherever he is, he's better at this than you are. He's waiting. You look at Moreno's body. His eyes are still open. You crawl over, close them. Not because it matters to him, because it matters to you. The medevac is denied. Too hot. You'll carry him out on foot. The LT says go. So you do. Your squad moves like shadows between collapsed storefronts and overturned taxis. One of you dead. One of you might be next. And you'll never know when. Because that bullet, the one that has your name on it, it's not loud. It's not cinematic. It doesn't come with music. It comes in silence. Through smoke. From far away. When your mouth is dry and your heart is just starting to slow. And when it does come, you won't hear it. But someone else will. And they'll remember the sound forever. You don't remember when it happened. Not the moment it changed. Not the exact breath where strangers became something more. Where uniforms stopped being names and started being lifelines. But somewhere between the first round fired and the first body bag zipped, you stopped being alone. Now, you move like organs in a shared body. Think in rhythm. Bleed in unison. You are a brotherhood, not by blood, not by choice, by war. And nothing in this place makes sense except that. You're lying on the roof of a gutted school, 4 of you, watching the skyline melt into haze. It's late. Too early to sleep, too late to move. One of those dead hours where the air hangs thick and time slows down. Santiago's cleaning his rifle. Again, he doesn't need to. He just likes the motion. Harris is eating peanut butter with his fingers. He offers some. You shake your head. He shrugs, licks the lid. Torres is writing in a small notebook. Says it's for his daughter. She's 3. He says he wants her to know who he was before this place changed him into someone else. You don't know what to say to that. So you say nothing. Sometimes silence is how soldiers pray. The city breathes below you. Still. Too still. That kind of stillness doesn't mean peace. It means someone's watching, waiting, measuring the wind for the perfect shot, but you're tired of ducking, so you stay where you are, face up, back against warm concrete, rifle across your chest like a shield you wish still made you feel invincible. And in this moment, you feel it again, that strange, indescribable thing, a connection. You don't like these men. Not exactly. You know their worst habits. You've smelled them on week 3 without showers. You fought with them, screamed at them, almost came to blows over stupid things like ration swaps and bad intel. But if someone fired at Santiago right now, you'd kill without blinking. If Harris got hit, you'd drag him through fire. If Torres stopped breathing, you'd give him your last mouthful of oxygen. Not because you're good, not because you're noble, because you're brothers, made not of love, but of proximity, of dirt, of smoke, of shared hallucinations at 3 a.m. when the adrenaline wears off and the ghosts come creeping in. You remember when Santiago got shot? Right leg, through and through, clean wound, messy reaction. He screamed, a sound so raw it made your teeth hurt. You were the one who packed the gauze, the one who yelled at him to breathe, the one who told him jokes he wouldn't remember, just so he didn't pass out. Later, after he healed, he said, "You ever do that again, I'm punching you in the mouth." You nodded, but you'd do it again in a heartbeat. Same with Harris. When his brother died in Mosul, he didn't speak for 3 days. Then he came to you in the middle of a watch shift and just sat beside you. Didn't say a word. Didn't have to. You passed him your last protein bar. He nodded. That was the entire conversation. And it said everything. Torres told you once that he doesn't think he's going to make it home. He didn't say it like a tragedy. Just a fact. Like reading the weather. One of us is going to get it, he said. Probably me. I'm always too slow on corners. You didn't argue. Because it might be him. Or Harris. Or you. You all know it. But you don't say it out loud more than once. Instead, you do things that only make sense here. You take the heaviest gear off each other's backs. You walk on the outside edge of the road so the guy next to you's got a better chance if the IED hits. You give the guy with the worst dream the best spot on the cot. You don't call it brotherhood. You don't call it anything. You just do it. Because that's what you do for people who've watched you cry, kill, bleed, and break. For people who've smelled your fear, who've covered your back in the worst moments of your life. You fall asleep like that. On the roof, all of you in a line, weapons on chests, eyes half open. You wake when someone stirs, not from noise, from intuition. You're synced. Harris burps in his sleep. Santiago mumbles something in Spanish. You don't understand the words, but you know the meaning. This is all temporary. This rooftop, this war, this body you're in. But this brotherhood, this moment where all your broken parts lean against someone else's broken parts just long enough to stand, that's real as any home you've ever known. You close your eyes again, and you whisper something without sound. A thank you, a prayer, a promise. To the sand, to the smoke, to the men beside you, and to the war itself for giving you something to hold on to in a place that wants to take everything away. The blast happens just before dawn, not near you, not loud, just close enough to shake the ground beneath your cot. You don't jump. You haven't jumped in weeks. You wake the way animals do, eyes already open, already scanning, body ready to move before the mind catches up. Command calls it shell shock. You call it Tuesday. You roll off your cot. Feet hit dust. Gun comes up before you are even sure why. Then the radio crackles. Secondary IED, vicinity of MSR Tampa. Dismount casualties, all units, be advised. You pause. That's your sector. That's your route. You were supposed to patrol it today. Someone else went first. You grab your helmet, throw on your vest. Move outside. The sky is still that kind of grey that makes everything look like a memory. Ashes in the wind. Shadows without shapes. You walk toward the blast site. You already know what you're going to see. But that doesn't make it easier. The Humvee is scorched black. Still smoking. The front half is shredded frame bent. Engine block cracked open like a rib cage. Inside, what's left of someone's legs is still strapped to the seat. You try not to look. You fail, because you have to look. That's part of the deal. You look and you carry it so someone else back home doesn't have to. The street is marked in soot. Charcoal veins spidering out from the crater. Blood mixed with oil. Pieces of something or someone embedded in the wall across the street. A helmet cracked in half. Boots still laced. A clipboard burnt at the edges. The writing gone. You take a deep breath. Regret it. The air smells like burned hair and carbon. Harris throws up behind you. You don't blame him. The LT starts barking orders. Secure the perimeter. Check for secondaries. Sweep the adjacent alley. Catalogue the blast pattern. Catalogue it. As if what's left of Corporal Jensen could be reduced to data points and grid coordinates. You walk to the blast hole. Kneel down. Run your glove through the edges of the crater. Still hot. Still smoking. The asphalt is melted. Warped. Changed forever. You wonder if that's what your brain looks like now. Not broken. Just warped. Melted by too much heat too fast. You see something in the rubble. A ring. Gold. Blackened. You pick it up. Still warm. Still whole. You hold it in your fist, and for a second, just a second, you feel like a thief. You put it in your vest. They'll want it sent back. Next of kin. Wrapped in a box with a note and a flag. You look at the wall across the street. Scorched. There's a perfect outline of a body there, black soot where the blast hit, and a white silhouette where the person blocked the heat for a fraction of a second. It looks like art. Macabre. Horrifying. Beautiful in a way you wish it wasn't. It makes you sick. Because it's too clean. Too symbolic. Like the war is trying to make itself poetic. But there's nothing poetic about this. You watch Santiago step around the body bags. He mutters something under his breath. You don't ask what. Because you're all saying things under your breath, now prayers, curses, apologies. No one wants to speak them out loud. It would make them real. You walk the edge of the blast zone, taking it in. And what hits you hardest isn't the carnage. It's the burn marks. Not the ones on bodies. Not the ones in the air. The ones on the concrete. Scorched black into the surface. Permanent. Unmoving. Proof. Proof that something happened here. Something violent. Something final. And those marks will outlive all of you. They'll stay when the war ends, when the boots leave, when the city rebuilds. Long after anyone remembers Jensen's first name, those marks will still be here, like fingerprints on God's crime scene. You reach down, touch the edge of one with your glove. It's dry, crumbly. You wonder what it would feel like on your skin, then stop wondering, because you don't want to know. Not really. You step back. Look at the scene again, the crater, the blackened truck, the ring in your pocket, and something shifts inside you. Not a crack, not a collapse, a sag, like a part of you just sat down and isn't getting back up. Because there's no point. Because no matter how many patrols you walk, or how many rooftops you clear, or how many villages you win hearts and minds in, this is what the war leaves behind. Burn marks. Concrete and conscience. You walk away without speaking. Because what do you say? We were just here yesterday. It could have been me. It will be me eventually. No one wants to hear it. So you just nod to Harris. Help him clean the radio. Brush ash off your vest. Return to the street like it doesn't know your name. But deep down, you know it does. This city remembers you, and when it's done with you, it'll leave its own mark. somewhere under your ribs, where the burn won't show, but never stops hurting. It ended on a Tuesday. That's what they tell you. As if war wraps itself up in calendar squares. As if something this massive could ever be finished with a date. The Battle of Fallujah is over, they say. Victory declared. Objectives met. City cleared. But when you walk the streets now, it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like a graveyard with plumbing. The buildings are still standing, sort of. The ones that didn't collapse from J-dams now lean like drunk men, full of bullet holes and unanswered questions. The walls are still marked with soot and screams. There's a silence now. Not peace, a pause. The kind of quiet that doesn't come from calm but from exhaustion. Everyone's out of ammo, out of targets, out of blood. So they stop. For now. You walk past a school that no longer has a roof. You see a girl's notebook on the ground. Spine broken. Pages scorched. A math problem written in pencil. 4, 6, __. You don't know why, but you kneel down. Brush the ash off the page. Read it twice. You don't fill in the answer. You just leave it. Because everything here is unfinished. The shops are gone. The homes are cracked open like rib cages. Every piece of furniture left in the open like someone meant to come back for it, but never did. And maybe they didn't make it out. Maybe they're buried under the floorboards, or the concrete, or someone else's version of liberation. Command calls it a success. But you've been here too long to believe in words like that. You lost friends. You lost sleep. And something else. Something you can't name, but you feel it missing in your chest every time you try to breathe deeply. You walk through a plaza you helped clear. Twice. There's a swing set still standing in the corner. No swings left. Just chains. Swaying in the breeze. You wonder who used to play here. What they saw. Where they went. You wonder what this place smelled like before it reeked of rotten rust. You hear footsteps behind you. Harris. He's not wearing his helmet. His face is hard to read, like he's trying not to be here anymore. He points at a mural spray-painted on a wall that survived 3 direct hits. It's crude, red and black. A skeleton holding a rifle, Arabic below it. You ask the translator what it says. He hesitates. Then, we will return. You don't ask who we is. You already know. You remember when they told you what the mission was? Stabilize the city. Dismantle insurgent control. Give the people back their freedom. You remember how clean it sounded. Like a briefing room could filter out the blood. But now, all you see is what you had to burn to make that statement true. You remember the mosque with the trapdoor, the market with the rigged propane tanks, the house with the blue door and the boy in Spider-Man pajamas. You remember them all. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to focus on the wins. The cash is found. The target's neutralized. The flag's raised. But flags don't bandage wounds. And they don't change the fact that you're not sure who really won. Because what do you call it when you raise a city to save it? What do you call it when you walk out alive but with half your soul missing? What do you call it when the bodies are buried, the headlines are written, the medals are handed out, and yet you still see it every time you close your eyes? Victory? No. You call that survival. And survival comes with interest. They give you 2 days before they ship you out. Not home. Just somewhere else. Another hot zone. Another promise. Another lie. You spend those days walking the perimeter, like you're trying to say goodbye to something that never let you in to begin with. Santiago packs a photo of his kid into his vest pocket. Harris writes a letter he'll probably never send. You sit with Torres and say nothing. He says, "Think they'll rebuild this place?" You don't answer. Because rebuild what? The walls? The schools? The people? Some things don't get rebuilt. They just settle into the dirt and wait to be forgotten. And sometimes forgetting is the kindest thing we do. You find a chunk of concrete with a boot print still pressed into it. Your size. You wonder if it's yours. You wonder how long it'll stay there. Until it crumbles. Until someone else walks over it. Until the sand reclaims what the war couldn't. You don't take a photo. You just stare. Because you want to remember it exactly the way it is now. Not as a victory, but as a cost. They fly you out in the dark. No fanfare. No applause. Just the hum of the C-130 and the weight of everything you didn't say. They tell you it's over. You nod. But inside you know the truth. This wasn't a victory. It was an ending. And not even the final kind. Just one more chapter in a story that eats its own tail. They'll say you liberated the city. But you know what it really means to liberate. You were here. You felt the ground shake. You watched the sky burn. You carried your brothers through alleys that used to be playgrounds. You buried names, burned homes, silenced screams. And in return, you got a t-shirt, a coin, and a 1,000-yard stare that won't blink even when you try to smile again. No, this wasn't a victory. It was the price. And you're still paying it. You're home. That's what they tell you. You step off the plane, into a sky that doesn't smell like death, into air that doesn't vibrate with tension, into silence that isn't waiting to explode. And it feels wrong. Everything feels wrong. Too soft, too clean, too polite. You're supposed to be grateful. You're supposed to smile, say thank you for your service, collect your welcome home card and your discount at the hardware store. But your hands won't unclench. Your jaw aches from how tightly you keep it locked. Because deep down, you don't feel home. You feel left behind, like part of you is still back in that city, on that roof, in that alley, inside that burning truck. And the worst part, no one here sees it. Your mum hugs you like she can squeeze the war out of your skin. She makes spaghetti. It tastes like nothing. Your brother asks if you got any good stories. He means funny. You give him one about MREs and boot blisters. He laughs. You fake it. No one asks about the dreams. So you don't talk about them. Not about the girl in the Spider-Man pyjamas. Not about the man who bled out on your lap. Not about the blue door or the burn marks or the scream that lives under your heartbeat. You carry those in silence. Because if you spoke them out loud, you'd unravel. You try to find normal, but it doesn't fit anymore. The bed feels too big. The air feels too still. The TV feels too loud. The first time someone pops a balloon at your niece's birthday, you're on the floor before your brain catches up. Everyone stares. You laugh it off. They don't understand. How could they? You get a job. Some warehouse gig. Moving boxes from one place to another. You don't mind the wait. It reminds you you're still here. But your co-workers talk about things that don't feel real anymore. Gas prices, football, TikTok. And you listen like you're behind glass. Smiling, nodding, screaming silently. One guy asks if you ever killed anyone. You say no, even though you have, even though you still do in your dreams. Because that's easier than explaining the truth, that the war didn't stop when you left, It just moved inside you. At night you walk, mile after mile through empty neighbourhoods. No IEDs, no snipers, no targets. But your body moves like it's still in sector, eyes scanning rooftops, steps silent, shoulders braced for something that isn't coming. Sometimes you walk past a playground. You stop, listen. Swings creaking in the wind. It reminds you of Fallujah, that swing set with no seats. Just chains, just rust. You light a cigarette. You don't smoke, but it gives your hand something to do. You exhale and think, I made it. And immediately after, then why don't I feel alive? The VA gives you pills, sleep aids, anxiety meds, mood stabilizers. You try them all. None of them take the edge off. Not the one you feel on your skin, the one that whispers in your ear when you're alone. The one that says, you left them behind. You shouldn't have made it. You don't deserve peace. Because you don't. Not really. Not when your brothers are still in the ground. Still in boxes. Still stuck in buildings you cleared 3 times and still lost. Not when Torres didn't make it to his daughter's birthday. Not when Santiago can't walk without a cane. Not when Harris sends you voicemails at 2 a.m. because he can't sleep without hearing someone else breathe. You survived. But survival isn't victory. It's just proof that you didn't die yet. You go to group therapy once. A circle of plastic chairs and coffee nobody drinks. One guy talks about Afghanistan, another about a suicide attempt. Another just cries. When it's your turn, you pass. They don't press you. They know the weight of silence. You leave early. Sit in your truck for 40 minutes. Just breathing. Eventually you drive home. The radio plays something soft. You turn it off. You prefer the quiet now, the stillness. It's the only place the war doesn't follow, or maybe it does. And you've just learned how to stop reacting to it. You think about writing things down. Everything. All of it. The bodies. The noise. The time the mortar hit and you laughed instead of screamed. The time you cried in the latrine and hoped no one heard. You open a notebook. You write one word. Fallujah. Then you stop. Because the pen feels like a weapon. And the page looks too clean to ruin with blood. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe not. People say time heals. But what they don't tell you is this. Time doesn't heal war. Time just covers it in dust. You learn to live around it. You smile with your mouth. You show up to birthdays. You laugh at jokes. You say I'm good when people ask. But part of you never left. It stayed there. In the smoke. In the sand. In the space between who you were before and who came back. And that part of you, it doesn't want peace. It wants to be understood. It wants someone to look you in the eyes and say, I know it wasn't a victory, but you made it, and that's enough. You don't talk about it much. People stop asking, not because they don't care, but because they don't want the answers. They want stories with arcs, beginnings, middles, ends, heroes and villains, something they can clap for. But war doesn't fit in that format. War bleeds. It leaks into everything. And when it follows you home, it doesn't kick the door in. It slips under it. Quiet. Piece by piece. You notice it first in the little things. You can't sit with your back to the door at restaurants. You flinch when the microwave beeps too loud. You avoid crowds, not because you're afraid of people, but because you're afraid of not knowing where they're standing. You scan parking lots before you park. You check for shadows under cars. You mark exits mentally. Everywhere you go, you're clearing rooms. Even if it's just your living room. You try dating. It goes okay until it doesn't. You're funny. You're polite. You're there physically. But part of you is always somewhere else. You miss a cue. You forget to laugh at the right spot. You freeze when fireworks go off near the pier. She looks at you like she doesn't recognize the man she just met. You don't blame her. You barely recognize yourself either. You get a letter one day. From the family of a Marine you carried out. They thank you. They say they were told you tried to save him. You did. But you didn't. He died before the bird got there. Still, you read the letter 5 times. Then fold it. Then put it in a drawer you never open again. Because it feels like a memorial. And you're not ready for that kind of finality. You visit the VA again. This time, it's not about medication. It's about nightmares. The doc asks what you see when you sleep. You lie. You say, it's just noise, random. But the truth? It's not random. It's specific. It's the sound of boots on broken tile. It's the weight of a dead friend across your shoulders. It's the silence right after you pull the trigger, the kind that feels more permanent than death. The war didn't end. It just changed uniforms. Now it wears your reflection. You see another guy from your unit one day. Randomly. Hardware store. He's thinner now. Eyes sunk in. He walks like his joints don't trust each other anymore. You say, hey. You both hesitate. Then you hug like men who've held weapons instead of women for too long. You don't ask how he's doing, because if he tells you the truth, you'll both break. So, you talk about sports, the price of lumber. That one time Harris got high off expired motion sickness pills and tried to order a pizza to the motor pool. And when you part ways, you both know that was therapy. You keep going, one day at a time. Not because it gets easier, but because the alternatives aren't options. You keep breathing, keep pretending, keep hoping that maybe, eventually, it'll fade. It doesn't. But you get used to it. You start learning how to live around the crater in your chest. And somehow, that feels like progress. Some nights it all comes back. Not in dreams. In moments. Numb. You enter the same room where you found the stash of dirty magazines behind the stove on day 1. Where you found a blindfold under the mattress on day 2. Where you found nothing today. That's almost worse. Because now the house is empty and that feels like bait. And somehow, that feels like progress. Some nights it all comes back. Not in dreams. In moments. Middle of making coffee. Or brushing your teeth. Or standing in the grocery aisle staring at cans. And suddenly, you're there again. Fallujah. You smell the smoke before you hear the guns. You hear the radio call before you remember where you are. You blink, and you're not in the store anymore. You're back in the stairwell, rifle up, heart pounding, listening for footsteps. You shake it off, but it lingers. The city is inside your skull, and it doesn't want to leave. It shows up in ways you can't explain. You walk a little faster when someone trails behind you. You tense when someone reaches into a bag too quickly. You pause before you enter any room with only one exit. You remember floor plans of buildings you haven't seen in years, but you can't remember what you had for breakfast. You remember blood patterns, burn marks, the exact colour of the tile in the house where the child died, but you forget your niece's birthday. Some sounds still freeze you. Not the obvious ones, not fireworks or popping balloons, It's the quiet sounds, the hum of a generator, the click of a lighter, the soft slap of sandals against concrete. Sounds that meant danger. Sounds that preceded death. Your brain never let go of those warnings. And maybe that's smart. Or maybe it's just another kind of prison. You start writing things down. Not for therapy. Not for art. Just to get them out. You write about the door. The one painted blue. The one that held memories like a lockbox. You write about the sewers. The fire. The house you cleared 3 times and still didn't trust. You write about the sniper round that missed your head by half an inch and killed the man behind you. You write about the kid. Always the kid. You don't write his name. You never knew it. But you write the pyjamas. Spider-Man. Red and blue. That you remember. Always. You start to feel like there are 2 of you. The one people see. And the one who's still at war. One goes to work. Pays bills. Holds conversations. The other stares out windows and waits for something to explode. One is alive. The other just survived. And neither of them knows what to do with the fact that they're sharing the same body. But here's what you do know. You're still here. Broken? Yes. Tired? Always. Changed? Forever. But breathing. Still walking. Still carrying the weight. Some days that's enough. Some days it isn't. But every morning you wake up, the war inside you is one step further from the battlefield. And maybe, just maybe, that counts for something. The Battle of Fallujah is over. The news stopped reporting. The boots came home. The headlines moved on. But the story never ends. Not really. It lingers. In the minds of those who were there. In the cracks of buildings never rebuilt. In the quiet moments years later, when a man stares at a wall and sees something no one else can. War doesn't end when the last bullet is fired. It ends much, much later. And sometimes it never does. Not for the ones who carried rifles. Not for the ones who carried stretchers. Not for the ones who carried memories so heavy they never set them down again. Fallujah may be a page in a history book now, but for some it's a chapter still being lived day by day, in silence, in shadows, in sleep. If this story meant something to you, if it made you pause, made you feel, made you remember, then don't scroll away just yet. Subscribe. We tell stories like this because someone has to. Because war is not just facts and footage. It's people. It's pain. It's the quiet moments after the noise fades. There are more stories. More names. More nights like this. So, if you're still listening, still awake, still breathing, thank you. Click subscribe. Stick with us. You made it. Now, rest.